Hello and welcome to the Elm Park Rolls podcast preview show with Natalie Sawyer this week. For the Brentford fan extreme, you must have seen it before on Sky Sports News and now with Talk Sport. How are you feeling about the game coming up and how are you feeling in general in this world, Natalie?
Well, let's answer the second question. In this world, I'm all right. I'm feeling all right. In general, with Brentford, again, very excited about this game coming up on Wednesday night. I say excited. As a fan and of the seasons we've had of late, I'm quite a nervous fan. So I will be very nervous come Wednesday when we head to the Medeski. And I'm full of excitement at the same time and hoping that we can continue this fantastic run of form that we're in. But in a way, because we're doing so well, I have that fear of, it's going to come to an end at some point. So every game I go in with slight trepidations, shall we say.
Yeah, well, you are 20 matches unbeaten now. I'm going to bring this up straight away. We did go 33 when we went up with the 106 season. So, I've got to put it out there, haven't I?
No, of course. Got to bring it back to Reading. No, do you know what? It's unbelievable to have gone 20 games unbeaten. There's a part of me that feels like not more is being said about it. I think it's an incredible achievement. Obviously, it doesn't match what Reading did. But there are still plenty of games to play and who knows where we're going to end up or how it's all going to finish. But it's incredible. And actually, at the start of this sort of 20-game run, I don't feel like we were playing that well. We were playing well enough, obviously, to win or not lose. But it's this latter stage now where I'm watching us and thinking, this is getting to the kind of Brentford I've been looking forward to seeing this season. Incredible. I'm so proud of this club. I'm proud of the achievements so far, but it's not done. And, if we have 20-game unbeaten run and then it all goes wrong after this, then, who's going to care about that 20-game unbeaten run come the end of the season? So we've got to keep building on it, really.
Yeah, you talk about kind of like the start that you had. You broke up the BMW, didn't you, that Brentford had last season? Incredible trio of players there. Mm-hmm. But now it's really coming together. I looked at a table. If you'd go from the 1st of November, you'd be top of the league and a game a hand. Your run since then has been sensational. Ivan Toney has been key in that. How impressed have you been by him?
Oh, do you know what? What I love about Ivan Toney is he has come in under that sort of pressure, as you pointed out, the BMW, Ollie Watkins, who had scored 20-odd goals last season. Those are big shoes to fill, and especially as we had just got to the Championship playoff final, so there's that sadness of missing out on going up, and then also the fact that we then lose Ollie Watkins. You're thinking, well, we need someone else. We need someone who's going to be of a similar ilk. And I think Ivan Toney has just come in and it's as though he's always been playing for Brentford. He has just slotted in easily, no bother at all. To score 22 Championship goals already is phenomenal. And the thing is, it's not just about goals. That's not his only job. He drops deep if he has to. He'll drop deep to allow the other players to get forward. He'll always cause problems for the defenders, make them question what they should be doing. But also his defensive roles are fantastic. So, yeah, I adore Ivan Toney, as I adore every single Brentford player right now. But I just think he's doing brilliantly.
Yeah, I'm talking about his assists and everything there. I watched the one he set up, kind of like big part of the first goal when he chests it off. He's just really an all-round player. That's Premier League level, isn't it? Definitely.
Well, that's it. And he has had his chances at other clubs where it hasn't unfortunately worked out for him. And obviously played for Newcastle again. That didn't work for him. And then it was at Peterborough, really, where he picked up the last couple of seasons and really took to life at London Road. And it's his all-round game. You're absolutely right. He's not selfish. It's not all about him. He knows he's a team player and he's there to help a team. He's not there necessarily to just be all about Ivan Toney. He knows that for Brentford to succeed, yes, we need him to score goals, but we also need him to be a team member and help out. And as you say, rightly, put an assist and all the stuff that he does. And I think he's tremendous. And I think the fact that he's been able to come in and just take over from Ollie Watkins and not think, this is a bit of pressure on me here. I think he's just loving life.
Yeah, totally. We're talking about Brentford as a whole club here as well, kind of a little bit before we started saying how the whole setup's been brilliant, and Toney here saying the scouting at Brentford has always been great, and it has. That they do remind me of Reading building up to the 106 season. Just the whole club with the new stadium, it's just really set up for Premier League football. It's going to happen at some point, Natalie. It really is.
Oh my God, don't say that. Yeah, do you know, I mean, that is obviously the aim. Our owner, Matthew Benham, that's why he wanted the new stadium. That's why he understood that to succeed, you do unfortunately need to move out of some of the older grounds, let's say, because they don't offer they don't offer the allure to some players. They don't offer the corporate hospitality side of things that also help you to make money, that also can be put into the squad, for example. So yes, Matthew Benham has always been a progressive owner. He's always seen a bigger picture, and he's always talked about when we're in the Premier League and when we're playing in Europe and all that sort of stuff, you know. And sometimes that can be fairy tale. You get most owners will come along and say something like that, but you've always believed it with Matthew Benham, and that's probably because of, as Toney points out, our slightly unique. I say unique, maybe our slightly different take on the scouting system, the way that obviously Matthew uses his own business to try and find players as well. So yeah, we're very fortunate to have an owner who truly backs the club and also is a fan, because he's grown up being a Brentford fan, and this is not just, you know, a toy to him. He's a fan. He's a supporter. He wants the club to do well, just as we all do. So yeah, we're very lucky in how it's all set up right now. And the new stadium is fantastic. The only sadness is that none of you have got to see it yet, but you will do in time. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, my uncle, who's a Brentford fan, went to one of the games there that they had there, the test kind of games in the league, and just absolutely loved it straight away. Because obviously he's been going to Griffin Park for, I don't know, 1,000 years. He's so old now. He listened to this at some point, but it's kind of, yeah, it's such an incredible thing. I mean, I know in the world of COVID and everything, there's far worse situations, but to leave your old ground, Griffin Park, and then not have that final day there, that's really harsh to deal with.
Oh, goodness me. It's funny because the final game that we were all allowed in Griffin Park was the 5-0 win over Sheffield Wednesday. And if you were at Griffin Park in the last season, you may have seen there was a board where they used to take numbers down to tell you how many games left were at Griffin Park. And I got to take down, it just so happened that I was the one that took down that last number, if you like, when all the fans were there. Obviously not knowing that this was going to be a bit of a momentous day and that this was our finale, our farewell. And I took my son as well, who isn't a massive football fan, but you know, he's sort of learning a little bit more and more and is becoming more of a Brentford fan. So he remembers it fondly. He remembers it well, and even remembers saying to me before the game kicked off, it was going to finish 5-0. And I'm thinking, you're like a 9-year-old boy who doesn't really know about football. It's never going to finish 5-0. And it did finish 5-0. So what do I know? But so, yeah, really sad. We never got to say goodbye. I know they did. They did do little tours once the season had finished, for fans to go around and at least get to see where you sat or stood or whatever. But it's not the same, is it? Because they had planned a proper big farewell and we didn't get to have that, unfortunately. But the good news is we have this wonderful new stadium that hopefully everyone will get to go to, and hopefully everyone will say, wow, it's completely different, but it's a wow in a good way.
Yeah, totally. I mean, you look at the games that you could have had there this season as well. I mean, you got to the semi-finals of the League Cup. Obviously, that was where Tottenham, but it could have been there. And the thought of having a cup semi-final there would have been just incredible for you, wouldn't it?
Oh, wouldn't it? Yes. Oh, goodness me. I mean, in a way, I'm kind of thankful that we didn't have it at home, because it would have made it even worse to think that, you know, you've got a sellout crowd not being able to enjoy a League Cup semi-final for the first time. I mean, yeah, a tremendous achievement to get to that stage, and you know, even to knock out Newcastle as we did, and Fulham as we did at home. You know, all these games that we've missed out on. It is heartbreaking, but every club has gone through it, unfortunately. And we just have to hope that next season it'll all go back to normal. We'll all get to enjoy it, and who knows, maybe we'll go one better in the League Cup next season, because now we're one of the best 4 sides of the competition. So surely we've got to go better.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's how it's going to work out, Natalie.
Yeah, no, dream man.
We've all got to have dreams there, haven't we? And if you look at Brentford going forward this season, they just look so unstoppable all over the pitch. I mean, it's a massive game coming up on Wednesday. I'm trying to find any weaknesses in their team, and I just can't find any. Can you just find some for me, please?
Well, I'll be honest. I mean, defensively, we've not looked ace, shall we say. We've not looked 100%. I mean, they've brought in Winston Reid on loan from West Ham, which is so unlike Brentford. One, to go for an experienced, say, veteran, but also to bring in a lone player. We don't do that anymore. We haven't done that for a number of years. But it was a case of needs must, because Pontus Jansson has been injured and we just needed a bit more cover. So defensively, we're a little bit shaky. But the thing is, even like as we did against Middlesbrough, we concede early on, and Bristol City most recently as well. We concede early on, but you always have this feeling, it's all right, we can turn it around, because going forward, we are so potent. But yeah, listen, it's difficult to call any game, isn't it, in the Championship? The way we're playing, we are unstoppable, but there's always one game where someone can come up with the goods to stop us. And when I look back to that game that we played you at the Brentford Community Stadium, you were really injury hit, weren't you? Because for a part of the season, you've had a lot of injuries, and so it was probably an unfair battle in that game, and it wasn't a Reading. When we played you, I thought, you play all right, but I'm surprised you're as high as you are, considering. But then obviously you have to bring in the injury factors. So yeah, I think this is going to be a really difficult one for us to call, and it's not going to be easy for us to just turn up there and expect to roll you over, shall we say?
Yeah, definitely. Going back to the game, we were missing players like Bulldog, Mate, Swift. Oh. These are big players for us in the big players in the Championship. So
yeah, no, absolutely. And when you've got the spine of your team missing, it's a huge problem, isn't it? So we have been quite fortunate with our injuries. Yes, I mentioned Pontus Jansson, and we've had a couple of players in and out, but we also do have quite a good strength and depth, it feels, at the moment. So any players that we've kind of lost for injury, we've been able to sort of slot somebody else in that position, and they have taken to it. I mean, one player in particular, Tariq Fosu. Oh,
yeah. Ex-Reading as well. I was going to bring him up. He's really, yeah, we released him when he went to Charlton, and he's kind of maybe developed off the pitch as well. And I think that's probably helped in that spell. But I was going to bring up, he's played a lot of games for you this season. How's he doing?
Yeah, he's been brilliant, and he has, I would say, been so versatile. He's playing, in the last game, he was part of our front three on the right, but he's played as a wing back, as a full back, he's played in different positions, and every position he's filled, it's been easy for him. I say easy, that's not to say that easy against the opposition, but it just looks as though it's been easy for him. It's not been an issue at all. I think he's been a great addition. Obviously, we got him from Oxford last season. And I think he's just tremendously well. And often when we get asked, who's your man of the match, I'll often say Fosu, because I just think he's a bit of a menace, really. Speedy, and him and Ivan Toney, I think, must have a great friendship, because you can see it on social media, the way they interact with each other. But they work so well together as well. So, he's done brilliantly. But I didn't realise he'd started at Reading.
Yeah, a lot of our fans would be really gutted to hear that, Natalie, to be quite honest.
Sorry.
They won't be surprised, though, because he always had talent. He came on and made his debut against Derby a few years ago. It was really spectacular. And then after that, things just didn't work out for him. Oh, really? But sometimes they need to move away to develop.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. For whatever reason, the setup or whatever it is might not just fit for that player. Doesn't mean that they are a terrible player. When we go back to what we were saying about Ivan Toney, he has had a couple of clubs he's gone to where he's unfortunately not lasted at that club, like Newcastle. But now look at him. Newcastle will be crying out for a player like him with the way things are going for them. So, yeah, sometimes you just have to move away and start again.
There's another striker on the pitch, though, coming up on Wednesday night, and that is Lucas João. That is a competition of the best striker in the Championship. I'll put Lucas João up against anyone, but Ivan Toney is a real close match for him. That is going to be a really interesting kind of scenario. I think whoever comes out on top of that match on Wednesday will be the team that wins. What do you think on that?
Well, absolutely. I watched the Reading Bournemouth game, and I remember thinking, this Lucas João is good. He's a handful, and he could cause us problems, like I say, because defensively we have our issues. We can sort of occasionally switch off at set pieces. I don't feel I should be telling you all this. Okay?
Keep going. I'll pass it on to you.
I'm giving away secrets. But no, we have had a few issues at set pieces. Wickham, oh my goodness, Wickham exploited. I mean, I know it sounds ridiculous because we won the game 7-2, but it was 2-2 at half time, and there's no way that Wickham would have thought coming out second half that they're going to concede 5. Now, we weren't at our best, but that's not to say that we were that Wickham were brilliant and we were terrible. So they, it was just a funny game that first half. We couldn't really get into it. I thought Wickham were really good and didn't perhaps deserve to be where they were in the table based on that first half. But then second half we did come out and it was a very different story. I'm not enjoying that message. I'm very good at set pieces.
Yeah, no, I thought I'd put that in there because we are exceptionally good at set pieces. We've scored so many goals and not only scored them, but come close in virtually every single match.
Yeah, it's a funny one because I don't know what it is. Like I say, we just don't seem to be that I'm not confident watching us when there are set pieces going into the box. David Raya is brilliant most of the time. Sometimes, though, can be a little bit erratic and can flap a little.
I went way up Saturday against Middlesbrough.
Bless him. But then again, he then pulled off some terrific saves in that game. So, it kind of outweighs the other. But yes, like I say, that would be our one weakness, set pieces. So I'm not looking forward to that. And that is something I have to say, in the first half against Wickham, we conceded both our goals, I think, from free kicks. And second half, it was a case of, I imagine Thomas Frank must have said, stop giving away these silly fouls in dangerous positions, which is kind of what we stopped doing in the second half, and Wickham weren't able to exploit us any further. But yes, hopefully Brentford will have done their research and know that you're good at set pieces. We're not good at set pieces defensively, so don't give away silly fouls.
Yeah, this is a game when I think it's going to be decided on fine margins. I think if we get the lead, we're very, very good when we get the lead. But I worry with Brentford that they've looked, like you've said before, so potent going forward. If you get that first goal, it's dangerous.
It is. And actually, like I pointed out, we've conceded early in a couple of games recently, and we've still gone on to win and win pretty comfortably. That said, like I mentioned, it's a very different Reading side that we're taking on than we did before. When you're in the position that we're in right now, in second in the automatic places with that 20-game unbeaten run, you're there to be shot at. You're there for everyone to try and get to you. So, Reading don't need that extra incentive because obviously automatic is all they want, like every club. But there are just these little things, little extras that you can no doubt try and ruin it for Brentford.
Yeah, I know the pressure when you're in this situation because you've come close so many times now and you don't want to tempt fate. You kind of think, oh, surely this year. I think you will do it this year. I think you will go up. Hopefully Reading do it as well at some point. But if you could pick any player that you could sign from Reading magically right now, which one would you go for?
Oh, that's a tough one. Who would I sign from Reading? I mean, I think it's always nice to be able to share goals around. So Lucas João is not bad. It would be a different system, I suppose, that we might have to employ. But, takes the pressure a little bit off Ivan Toney. Listen, if you can have more goals in your team, you're gonna win games probably. So yeah, I'll take you, Lucas João. That seems fair.
Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, I'm sure you would. Yeah, that would be a perfect backup for you, wouldn't it? I'd be kind of like, I would like Ivan Toney, but I mean, he's such a player. Same here from Alistair. Brentford will suit us because when people come on to us, we're good defensively. Yeah, I think that's true. We counter-attack very well with Elise and Ejaria. Maybe Mate will come back into the team. What is your score prediction then, Natalie? How do you think it's going to go?
Oh, goodness. It's the awful question, isn't it? Nobody
likes
that.
Isn't it? I know. It's always a nightmare in these games.
It is. I mean, obviously, I'm going to go Brentford win. I think we will concede, and I'm going to say it's probably going to be a tight 2-1 win.
2-1. Okay, I'm going to go for optimistic 2-1 win to Reading. You expect nothing less, would you really? I mean,
I'd be shocked. I'm going to go for a Brentford win, but
Yeah, let's hope so. I mean, it's going to be really, really tough. And I just wish it was on TV so we could watch it properly. But it's not. I don't know why it's not. I mean, it's such a shame, really.
It's ridiculous, isn't it? Fourth against second? It's brilliant. On paper already, it's brilliant. So, and they are two footballing teams. So it's really intriguing. I just wanted to ask you, though, Veljko Paunovic, when he first came, were you all like, who is this person? I mean, it's incredible how he's transformed Reading.
Yeah, totally. You have to Google him and look up who he was. It's the classic thing, isn't it? It's like, okay, this guy at Chicago Fire, And
Yeah.
then the first thing you see is he's won the Under-20 Cup, World Cup with Serbia. And you think, okay, that might work with the young players. Then you look up his MLS and you think Chicago Fire fans don't even want him. And you think
No, it's
alarm
bizarre.
bells are going off all over the place, Natalie,
Yeah.
all over the place.
Yeah.
And then you see the start we have and you think, okay, something's building here. We have the dip. And then you think we actually look way better now than we did in those first 7 or 8 games. And what he's done is he's brought the young players together. We've got a system that is very consistent. We make very few changes and we're all as one. And
Right.
that is the key to any club, isn't it?
Yeah, of course. I mean, you can see that with Brentford out on the pitch. They are. You can tell it's a proper group, a proper unit there. And yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think everyone probably says the same. They would have Googled Paunovic and then looked at that CV and thought, why would you go for him? It's an extraordinary choice. But obviously, the owners and everyone who's made that decision have decided, and have so far picked well, because Reading is certainly one of the surprise packages, I would say, so far this season in the Championship. And I, like many others, would have thought, well, you've started off all right, but you're just going to tail off. You're going to tail off. And that's not happened apart from the little dip. But you still, I don't think you've really been out the top 6, maybe bar.
No, very, very small period we were out the top 6. Yeah, no, none of us believed this would have this season. None of us. If the Reading fans said that we were going to have this season, I'd worry they were alcoholics basically in September. Because there's no chance.
No,
it's just so unlikely. Because essentially, we've made one real signing from last season, Josh Laurie. He's been fantastic. Really,
this is
really.
what I was going to say as well. It's kind of the same team. Nothing's really changed, and that's what I can't get my head around it. But you know, like you say, he's obviously worked on maybe the mental side of things as well, and brought everybody together. And goes to show just how important that is to be as one. And it clearly hadn't worked with previous managers, but wow, it's paying dividends right now.
Yeah, totally. And one last question: who apart from Toney should be Reading afraid of from Alex?
Oh, well, yeah. So okay, apart from Toney, Sergi Canos. He has, I think, scored something like 5 or 6 goals in the league. I mean, Ivan Toney obviously has got the headlines because he has scored 22 league goals, and perhaps after that you're coming down into single figures. But yeah, Sergi Canos has been a handful in a couple of games most recently. As I mentioned, Tarek Fosu, Josh Da Silva, brilliant. He drives in through the midfield. Would love him to have a few more goals to his name and perhaps take a few shots from outside the box because he's got a great left foot. But for whatever reason, he doesn't as often you'd like him to, but you know he could score. And he's got recognition recently this season by being called up to the England under-21s. So he's another terrific player who's come from a Premier League side. So came from Arsenal as a youngster. They wanted to keep him, but he wanted to go in search of first-team football and has come to us. And year on year is just getting better and better. So, I mean, I could go on and on. I think they're all terrific. They really, really do. Rico Henry, another one, our left back, fantastic. He is... I mean, he just runs down that wing. He is so speedy, and again, he'll run and then cut inside and cause all sorts of problems for teams. But yeah, we're quite blessed at the moment with the team that we have. And yes, we don't have our BMW. We miss that sort of flair of Ben Rama, but it feels like right now we are clicking into another gear that we've lacked in the early part of this season. And, hopefully that means for Brentford, we're going to go on and get that promotion that we're aiming for. But you'll be joining us anyway. You'll come with us. So it's fun.
I like that, Natty. I like that thought.
We could all work together on this.
Yeah. There's Brian Muemba as well. He just absolutely tortured us in the community stadium.
Yes,
Brilliant.
He did actually. Do you know what? You're so right. Because I happened to be at that game. I was helping out with the Brentford comms team, and that's probably the first game of that season that I thought, that's the Brian of old. And I understand why maybe it's been a bit difficult for Brian, and I'm only reading into it on my part. I don't know this is fact, but when you do see your 2 front teammates leave and move to the Premier League, must be a little gutting. Remember him, he's still very young, 21, 22, and obviously then have to go through, you've gone through the heartbreak of the playoff final, your 2 teammates have left, so that BMW has been broken up and you're just the M that's left. It must be a little bit heartbreaking. So I think it did take him a little bit of time to kind of get over it, and maybe a little bit of exhaustion, like a lot of players may well be feeling. But now again, he's picked up and he's coming back to being that Brian and Burma that we all love.
Totally. Here's one that's from a very Reading based.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No, we're going back far too long. No.
Yeah, I'm going to read this one out. How much does a Curitin goal still hurt at Brentford? We all know that as Reading fans when it is, and you can see the reaction there from Natalie. It's not a positive one, is it?
Of course not. How can I ever talk about that goal positively? I remember, I can picture.
Oh, I love talking about it. I could go on about it for hours.
Yeah, you could. Gosh. Do you know, I'm so bad at remembering years, so I can't even remember what year this was. Was it early? What was it?
2002, I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
something like that. Yeah, I remember I was sat at Griffin Park. I remember how I felt when the goal went in and the full-time whistle went. You know, it was hideous. You know, because we went ahead first, didn't we? We scored. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah, and a lot of the players that played for Brentford that day ended up at Reading.
Yes.
So you had Sidwell, Ingemasa, Sonke, loads of them. It was just ridiculous, wasn't it?
Yeah,
there's a picture.
Inga Marson, I adored Inga Marson at Brentford.
We love him at Reading. Yeah,
I know he's a bit of a legend. He's a legend for you guys. I remember actually that summer we had like a Brentford. I don't know. It was like a summer thing, and it was on the pitch bizarrely, but you could just walk around on the pitch, and the players were there. And I remember going up to Inga Marson and sort of saying, "You're not going to leave, are you?" And obviously they say the same thing of no, and then he did leave. So it was a little gutting, but I do remember that game. In fact, I remember I brought a friend down who football fan, but not a Brentford fan, not a Reading fan, and I think she regretted coming with me because I wasn't in the best of states afterwards. But yeah, thanks for bringing that one up.
Yeah, that's no problem. And it's one. Where do you think Reading will end up this season?
Oh, gosh, Chris, that's a very difficult question. Like I say, I don't think anyone expected Reading to be as high as they are. I think everyone would have assumed Reading would be sorry to say, probably even mid to bottom half of the table, because that's how you've been the last few seasons. And add in a new manager who doesn't know anything about the Championship, doesn't know anything about English football, and you're thinking, well, this is not going to be a good marriage here. No. But something has happened, and you've pointed out some of the reasons you reckon that this transformation has happened for. I think you're going to be up there. I do. I think you'll be the top 6 minimum. I really do. I can't say anything more than that because I don't want to jinx it from my club. But I do think you're just showing consistency. I know you had a dip, but you're just showing that you know when you do lose, you'll come back and you'll bounce back. So I just think, you're a tough nut to crack. And like I mentioned, I watched that Bournemouth game. I mean, Bournemouth had no idea how to stop you. I thought you were tremendous in that game.
Yeah, one last question then. What is easier, hosting a show on TalkSport or homeschooling?
Oh, TalkSport show every time. Crikey, we've been doing fractions today. And honestly, I mean, I'm sat there and I'm thinking, I don't remember doing any of it. I just don't remember doing it, whether I blocked it out or whatever. And they provide you with these videos of how you're supposed to do it. I watched them with my son, and I'm there like, I still don't get it. And these are supposed to help you, these videos. I still don't get it. So yeah, I'm not great when it comes to maths. Never been very good at maths. I'm not bad at the other stuff that we have to do. But yes, as soon as I see we've got maths and fractions, I'm just my heart drops. Everything like, oh no. But do you know what? I'm very blessed. We're very lucky that none of us have been truly affected by COVID. And as much as homeschooling is hard, takes up all your day, I love being with my son. So I'm quite lucky, really, that I'm getting to have him 24/7.
No, that's amazing. Thank you very much for joining us, Natalie. I really appreciate your time.
Pleasure. Absolute pleasure. I say best of luck for the rest of the season, just not on Wednesday.
I'll say the same back to you. Cheers.